Hello and welcome back to another tutorial on Adobe InDesign. Today we're going to be talking about how to use the edit and the type menu options for editing text in Adobe InDesign. Due to Adobe InDesign being a print layout program, we want to make sure that we really understand how to edit our documents as fully as possible inside the program. If you're anything like me, I struggle sometimes to see certain types of mistakes or grammars or spelling mistakes while I'm working in the program. So, having the ability to let the program help me do my editing, I think is valuable. So, I'm going to show you some different tips and tricks on how to use the different commands. And I've got some directions written out for you along with our cookbook spreads that we've used before for us to have something to actually edit with. So follow along with me in order to master editing in Adobe InDesign. So first, we're going to start by turning on our hidden characters. Hidden characters allows you to see all of the grammar marks that are used within the program. So in order to do this, all we're going to do is go to the type menu, and all the way at the bottom here, we're going to turn on show hidden characters. You can pull up the list, and it'll kind of go through, but the main ones that you can see are these double arrows are tabs. The backwards P, if you're not familiar with that, is the paragraph symbol that shows that there's basically a return. And the small dots are spaces. Those to me are the three most basic ones that you're going to see. I like to turn these on sometimes in order to look for things like double spacing or to see how something was formatted, especially if I was not the originator of the document. I'm actually going to turn these back off just because I think there can be a little bit of a distraction for people watching. But I did want you to know how to turn those on and then just kind of tell me, how did your document change? We're also going to talk about adding some breaks. Some people are very familiar in Microsoft Word. You can add what's called a page break. Well, in Adobe InDesign, you can add things like frame breaks and column breaks. And that's because this isn't a word processing program. They don't just have where the one page runs to the next page. Everything is going to go inside of text boxes. So on pages 2 and 3, we're going to add a frame break into the lists for the ingredients. And then on pages 4 and 5, we're going to add a column break. And you're going to see kind of why we're doing the two different. With the first two here, you're going to see that these are threaded in order to ensure that one set of ingredients automatically goes down to the second set of ingredients. And one of the things hopefully you'll notice is that they are not divided very evenly, and it looks like my program is slowing down, so we're going to be patient. There we go. So if you'll see, there is a break here in the ingredients, and it should be that the for chicken is in one column and the for sauce is in the other, frame. So we're going to insert a frame break. Now this got formatted wrong, so I'm going to fix that real quick while we're going. I'm going to turn off my bullets here for the sauce, and I'm going to insert a frame break. Okay, so in order to do this, I have put those directions for you up here where you go, which is under the type menu and under insert character. So type insert break character is what we're looking for. And so for this one, what we're looking for is the frame break option. If you do column break, it's not going to work because this isn't a 2-column set of text boxes. These are two separate frame boxes, text boxes, whichever kind of preferred title you like to give them. So you do have to use the correct one. So we're going to use frame break. And what that's going to do is it's automatically going to push anything from that point in my cursor on into the next frame. I think this is really nice because if I decide to make changes to this text box, for example, it's automatically going to keep that proportioned correctly. And it doesn't matter if I make it bigger or smaller, it's going to keep it nice and break down the two titled kind of areas. Just be careful where you put your cursor. You want to put it in front of where you want the break, not behind the last thing you want for this frame. So if I put it behind cracked pepper, it's going to cause some formatting issues for the for sauce. It'll put the bullets back on. So I want to make sure that I pay attention to that. So we're going to do that on pages 2 and 3 for the chicken recipes. Under the cookies recipes, these are set up in 2-column breaks. You'll see that everything is just separated down into 2 columns like this. And I want to break these by column and not by frame. So my goal for this is to even out my text boxes here, or my columns, excuse me. So I'm going to place my cursor right here at the 3¼ for granulated sugar, and I'm going to go back to insert character break. And again, this time I'm going to do column break. And my goal is to just kind of even them up. If you'll see, there is a little extra bullet point, so I just backspace to get rid of that. All right, going back up to my instructions. So we've done now 2 and number 3 on number 4 on page 3. One of the things that I want to do is I want to make sure that I am aware that you can do what's called a quick change. A quick change allows me to apply the same formatting from one text box or frame to another quickly and easily. Now, it doesn't always work out perfectly, so just kind of be prepared for that. But I'm going to go to select the directions text box on page 3, and I'm going to go to edit quick change. Grab my cursor here, select this, edit quick apply, excuse me. I think I have my directions wrong, so I'm going to fix that. Quick apply. And I am going to choose the one that makes the most sense. So I'm actually going to choose the directions one because that one is the most similar. Now you'll see how I said this one it did bullets instead of numbering. So it's not always perfect, but I did want you to see how that does work. You can do that for other things and it will copy very quickly other options here. So if I do that, see it took a title from the other pages. It doesn't change everything though. If you'll notice, the green color stayed the same, even though that original title on page 2 is in brown. Now let's start editing. So first we want to start by running the spell check on both spreads. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to edit and we're going to go to spelling and we're going to say check spelling. What it's going to do is it's going to go through the entire document and you have some choices here. So it'll make certain suggestions, like it repeated the word juice, but that's part of it. So we're going to click skip on that. Right here, it's suggesting that I capitalize uncapitalized sentence, and I'm just gonna for now skip that because we're gonna get back to that. Now, Parmesan is again spelled wrong, so we're gonna sit that and we're gonna click change. I'm gonna skip everything in the title for now. All right, here we go. Combine is changed to COOMBIN. So I have to choose the correct correction. It's not going to choose that for me. I do have to automatically make those changes. Now, one of the things that you can do is it's telling me the word Parmesan to be capitalized everywhere. So I can actually go ahead and do change all and it will replace 2 replacements made and I can say okay, and then it's not going to keep coming back with those changes for me. Sometimes I just do change all because I tend to make the same spelling mistakes over and over, and that's one of those where I'll change the certain words too many times. So I'm going to stop right here, but I am going to ask you to go through and spell check the entire document. We're also going to go into the paragraph panel and we're going to uncheck the hyphenate for all of the boxes. So let's take a look and find an example of where something is hyphenated so that you can see what I mean. First, I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to pull up my type and I'm going to pull up my paragraph panel. Now, this will automatically populate in your properties panel, but just in case, I like to pull it up separately. So when things are hyphenated, um, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to take a break in a sentence and it's going to put a hyphen and put the remaining portion of the word on the next line. That is not grammatically correct. The default on the program is to hyphenate things, but we want to make sure that we unhyphenate everything. That is just a better look. It's easier for people to be able to read, and it just makes more sense when we're using something like a cookbook or something for reading purposes. It's easier for our audience. So do me a solid, go through every paragraph and just make sure that the hyphenate is unchecked. Sometimes you'll see a lot of changes and sometimes you won't. Like this one, it's just teaspoon that was highlighted or hyphenated, excuse me, where in this one for the creamy marsala, you'll see there was a lot more hyphenated. So I see a lot more changes in that second chicken recipe. All right. For the titles on the chicken recipe spread, you'll see that they're both lowercase, and we want to actually change that. And we're going to change the case in order to go to capitalized casing. So we're going to go to title, or excuse me, the type menu. We're going to go to change case, and I'm going to change this to uppercase. And you'll see that it changed it automatically. The other place that you can get to this is underneath the character panel. There is an option. Ooh, there is an option if you go to, oh, excuse me. I am super used to, and this is my problem, I am super used to this being an option in Illustrator where there is a double cap option under the character panel, but unfortunately I am mistaken. You have to get it through the type menu only. That is that's where I struggle sometimes with the differences between the programs is I go back and forth between Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign quite often. So yeah, you do have to use the type menu. I apologize. Um, One of the other issues you're going to see throughout this document is some double spacing. One of the problems is when originally we transitioned from the typewriter to the computer for word processing, we were used to doing double spacing on a typewriter. And that was because when you clicked the period key on a typewriter, you had to space off of the key first and then hit space again to actually do the true space in front of the sentence. And then when we transitioned, the same people that were teaching how to use typewriters started teaching word processing computers, and that habit continued. So sometimes you'll see people have used double spaces when only one space is necessary. So we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to say Find and Change. And here we're going to say find what is space space, and we're going to change it to a single space, and then we're going to say change all. And it's going to tell me the search is complete and 15 replacements were made. So make sure if yours isn't 15, you want to make sure you do this. This is great for a lot of things. You can do things like if a name was spelled wrong throughout a document, or maybe somebody changed their name, or maybe instead of chicken, I wanted to change all of this to beef. I could change all, and it's going to do 18 replacements made. So depending on what it is you're trying to do, if you make a change like that, there's no reason to go through the entire document when you can do find and change. I use that quite a bit. I'm a big fan. The last thing I want to show you is what the story editor does. When we use the story editor, some people struggle, and I'm going to do the directions on this one right here. Edit, story editor. Some people struggle to look at it in the layout when they're looking for spelling and grammar, and some people prefer a view like this one, where you can actually see where everything is broken down. It's a much simpler view for editing purposes. You can also see if there's overset text, which you do need to look for, by the way, when you're editing for this. There is some overset text throughout, but it'll show you very easily. And when you adjust in your story editor, it will automatically adjust the layout as well. I just want you to be able to see this and be able to know where to go and how to access it. All right. That is how to edit in Adobe InDesign. Just, make sure that you've answered my questions here, save your document, and turn it in. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video.